Hey there, Virgo. I am doing a reading for you. These are timeless readings for really whoever finds it, but I am titling it a Virgo reading, thinking of it from that perspective. So thanks for joining me. Let's see what's going on.
Um, as always, take what resonates, softly release the rest, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay connected with future messages. Now, let's see what the universe is revealing to you. There's someone occupying space in your peripheral vision who hasn't announced their presence loudly, but their attention on you is far from casual, not center stage, not demanding your focus, not performing for your notice. Background, observing, watching how you move through the world, paying attention to details most people miss, learning you through careful study rather than direct engagement, building understanding of who you are through what you do when you don't think anyone important is watching. And you might not have registered this presence yet, might not have identified this person as significant, might have categorized them as peripheral, casual, unimportant, someone who's just there but doesn't really matter. But that assessment, that's exactly what they're counting on. Your unawareness gives them space to observe without the pressure of being observed back. Your lack of attention allows them full attention on you. In the specific dynamic of someone watching without being watched, there's often intentionality. They're not accidentally in your orbit. They're choosing to stay close enough to maintain visibility of you. They're creating reasons to be where you are. They're positioning themselves in spaces you occupy, all while maintaining appearance of coincidence rather than strategy. Let me reveal what's currently happening in someone's awareness regarding you. In the territory of attraction and interest, not everyone announces themselves, obviously. Some people pursue loudly, make their interest known, create unmistakable signals, but others operate differently. They watch, they learn, they build understanding before they build approach, they study before they engage. It's highly probable someone in your current reality is taking exactly this observational approach with you. They're not ready to make themselves known yet, not confident enough, not certain you'd be receptive, not sure how to bridge from background to foreground without seeming presumptuous or forward. Watch for certain patterns that indicate someone's paying closer attention than their position suggests. Do you keep running into the same person in different contexts? Do they seem to know things about you they shouldn't know unless they've been paying attention? Do they remember small details you mentioned casually? Do they show up at events or places you frequent? These aren't always coincidences. Sometimes they're carefully orchestrated proximity. Someone creating opportunities to be near you, to observe you, to exist in your awareness, even if not in your focus. They're building familiarity, creating foundation for future connection, preparing ground before they plant seed directly. Some people in background are genuinely interested but cautious. They've been hurt before. They don't trust easily. They need to observe someone extensively before risking vulnerability. They're watching to see if you're safe, if you're consistent, if you treat people well, if your public persona matches your private character. You might be under exactly that kind of evaluative observation right now. Someone assessing whether you're worth the risk of approaching, whether you'd receive them kindly or dismiss them, whether there's potential for connection or if they're reading signals that aren't there. This reflection invites you to consider who keeps appearing in your spaces without making themselves central. Let me clarify what standing in the background actually reveals about this person. Background positioning suggests several possibilities. They might be naturally reserved, not the type to push forward, not comfortable with bold moves or obvious declarations. They prefer slow build, gradual approach, letting things develop organically rather than forcing them. In the personality of careful connectors, these people often make excellent long-term partners once they finally engage because they don't rush, don't act impulsively, don't confuse intensity with depth. They build real foundation before constructing relationship. They understand before they commit. They observe patterns before they trust. It's probable the person watching you falls into exactly this category. They're taking their time because time matters to them. They're being careful because they've learned that careful protects them. They're staying background because background feels safer than exposure that comes with foreground positioning. Or they might be strategically patient, waiting for right moment, right circumstances, right indication from you that approach would be welcomed. They're not passive, they're strategic. They're waiting for timing to align, for obstacles to clear, for you to become available in ways you might not be currently. Watch for shifts in their positioning. Background people don't stay background forever if their interest is genuine. Eventually, they move closer, test waters, create opportunities for natural interaction, bridge from peripheral to central through incremental approach rather than sudden leap. Some background watchers are there because they're intimidated. They see you as out of their league, as too accomplished or too attractive or too something for them to approach directly. So they admire from distance, appreciate from afar, want but don't believe they could have. You might be inspiring exactly that kind of intimidated admiration. Someone watching who thinks you're remarkable but doubts you'd see them the same way. Someone building courage slowly. Someone working up to approach that terrifies them because you matter enough that rejection would hurt significantly. This reflection invites you to consider who in your awareness treats you with unusual respect or seems nervous around you. Let me speak to why you haven't noticed them yet despite their attention. Sometimes we don't notice because we're focused elsewhere, on someone who's center stage, on obvious pursuer, on dramatic situation or clear interest. And while we're looking at what's loud, we miss what's quiet. While we're tracking, what's obvious is less than #0. 5# is greater than we overlook what's subtle. In the blindness created by misdirected focus, we can miss significant people because they're not performing for our attention. They're just being present, being consistent, being there without fanfare. And quiet, consistent presence doesn't trigger same awareness as dramatic, inconsistent presence. It's essential you expand your perception. Look at who's actually showing up, not who's talking loudest, but who's present most consistently. Not who's making big gestures, but who's demonstrating steady character. Not who's demanding attention, but who's earning it through quality of their being. Some people miss their person because their person doesn't look how they expected, doesn't fit the fantasy, doesn't match the type they usually pursue. So even though this person is showing genuine interest and solid character, they stay invisible because they're not what conscious mind is searching for. You might need to question your filtering system to examine if you're overlooking someone valuable because they don't match superficial criteria. To consider that the person watching you from background might be exactly who you've been asking for, even though they don't look like what you thought you wanted, or you haven't noticed because you're not ready yet. Your attention is still tied up elsewhere. Your heart is still processing something that came before. Your capacity for new connection hasn't fully opened. And the person in background, they're waiting for your readiness, staying close enough to be there when you become available. This reflection invites you to consider is less than #0. 5# is greater than what or who has been consuming your attention that might be preventing you from seeing what's actually present. Let me reveal what might shift to make this person visible to you. Often awareness comes through repetition reaching threshold. You don't notice someone first few times they appear, but 10th time, 15th time, the pattern becomes undeniable. You start questioning if it's coincidence or if something else is happening, and questioning creates opening for actually seeing. It's probable you're approaching exactly that recognition threshold currently. Someone's repeated presence in your spaces is about to register as significant rather than random. Your subconscious is accumulating data, building case, preparing to bring to conscious awareness what it's been tracking underneath. Watch for sudden noticing, moment when you look at someone you've seen many times and really see them for first time, when their features become interesting, when their presence becomes noteworthy, when you find yourself wondering about them in ways you haven't before. Some shifts happen through direct interaction. They finally speak to you, ask you something, create conversation. And in that exchange, you notice something: intelligence, humor, kindness, depth, quality that makes you pause, makes you reconsider your previous categorization of them as insignificant. Others happen through third party, mutual friend mentions this person's interest, or points out how often they're around, or reveals information about them that makes you see them differently. External input creating internal shift in perception. Still others happen through circumstance. You need something, they provide it. You're struggling with something, they help. Crisis or need creates opportunity for them to demonstrate value in ways normal circumstances don't reveal. This reflection invites you to consider what would need to happen for you to notice someone you've been overlooking. Let me address what you should do with this information. Start paying attention differently, not obsessively, not with paranoia about who might be watching, but with expanded awareness. Notice who's consistently present, who shows up reliably, who seems to be around more than randomness would explain. In the practice of mindful observation, you might discover several people in your background who've been there all along. Some might be genuinely interested, others might just be coincidentally occupying same spaces. Your work is discernment, distinguishing between pattern that means something and pattern that's just pattern. It's important you don't force interpretation onto everyone who's peripherally present. Not everyone watching is romantically interested. Some people are just friendly. Some are networking. Some are socially anxious and end up in background by default, not by strategy. Reading too much into every presence creates problems where there aren't any. But you also don't want to dismiss genuine interest just because it's not presented boldly. Some of the best people are the ones who don't announce themselves loudly, who earn attention through consistency rather than demanding it through performance, who build slowly rather than burning bright and fast. Balance awareness with naturalness. Notice who's there, but don't become hypervigilant. Create opportunities for background people to move forward if they choose, but don't force it. Let interest reveal itself organically rather than interrogating every interaction for hidden meaning. This reflection invites you to consider how would you want someone interested in you to make that interest known. Let me close by speaking to what this background presence might become. Sometimes background people stay background. They watch but never approach. They're interested but not brave enough or available enough or ready enough to act on interest. They remain pleasant fixture in your peripheral vision but never become central relationship. But other times they're the one. The person who was preparing, learning, waiting for right moment, building foundation slowly and carefully. And when they finally step forward, when they finally make themselves known, the connection is solid because it wasn't rushed, wasn't forced, wasn't built on fantasy, but on actual understanding. May you notice what deserves noticing. May you stay open to unexpected packages. May you trust your discernment. Someone is watching. From background with intention. Did you notice them standing in the background yet? Someone's been observing, learning you, paying attention in ways you might not have registered. Their presence is consistent. Their interest is real. Their positioning is strategic or cautious or both. And your work is simply to expand awareness, to notice who's actually showing up, to see beyond what's loudest to what's most consistent, to consider that significant people don't always announce themselves dramatically. Sometimes they just show up quietly and wait to be truly seen. Trust this. Trust that if someone is meant to be in your life, they'll find a way to make themselves known. Trust that you don't need to force awareness or connection. Trust that what's meant will emerge naturally when timing aligns. Trust your ability to recognize genuine interest when it finally steps out of shadow. Stay aware. Stay open. Stay discerning. Background becomes foreground. Eventually, when ready,